I don't know if you've noticed, but we're kind of in a race here, a race of civilizations. There are roughly 1.5 billion Muslims in the world, and Islam is, according to many sources, the fastest growing religion, mostly due to high birth rates. Now, if you have one group that's growing faster than any other group, it's only a matter of time before they outnumber you. It may be 50 years, it may be 500 years, but unless something changes, the group that grows the fastest eventually forms a majority. What this means is that Muslims don't need to win any wars, they don't need to win any popularity contests, they don't need to win a single argument. If they want Islam to dominate the world, they simply need to sit back and wait, and they need the rest of us to sit back and wait.
Have you ever been hypnotized?
I hate waiting, especially when waiting, in this case, involves the collapse of Western civilization and the violent subjugation of anyone who doesn't submit to Islam. Shouldn't we find it incredibly disturbing that the government and the media are doing everything in their power to convince us that only racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigots would be worried about Muhammad's teachings? They're telling us to keep quiet about Islam as Al-Qaeda dreams up new ways of terrorizing us. They're telling us to be patient as innocent people are slaughtered in the name of Allah. They're telling us to wait. Wait until what? Wait until Muslims make up a majority in France and Germany? Wait until Iran goes nuclear? Wait until the Muslim Brotherhood takes over a few more governments? Wait until more people get killed over cartoons? Wait until the Taliban wins Pakistan and its 100 or so nuclear warheads? What exactly are we waiting for? My friends, the time for sitting around doing nothing ended when Muhammad's followers started violently subjugating people way back in the 7th century. Here we are, nearly 14 centuries and 270 million bloody deaths later, and our leaders are convinced that if we just keep saying Islam is peaceful, someday the hearts of terrorists will melt, and they'll reinterpret the Quran to bring it in line with Western values.
I'd be friends with the sparrows and the boy who shoots the arrows if I only had a heart.
For those of us who live on planet reality, fairy tales are no longer an option. So what are we going to do? Well, the first thing we need to realize is that most Muslims in the West are as repulsed by Muhammad's teachings as we are. They believe in Muhammad, but their belief is superficial because they have no clue what Muhammad taught. They've never read the Quran, they've never read the Hadith, and if you quote some violent or immoral teaching from the Quran to them, chances are they're hearing it for the first time. They'll deny it, they'll throw out their most trusted sources, they'll reinterpret the clearest teachings of the Quran. Why? Because they're horrified at what their prophet taught. Westernized Muslims are no threat to you or anyone else. Now, if they ever establish a majority, things will suddenly change because once the Muslim community grows large enough, the Muslims who do know what Muhammad taught tend to rise to the surface, and a bunch of westernized Muslims certainly aren't going to stand against their more orthodox brothers. But for now, when westernized Muslims have a choice and can live how they want to live, they're about as dangerous as a diet soda. So don't think that the Muslims who live on your street are the enemy in this race of civilizations. They're people who've been misled and deceived, and whether they know it or not, they have much more in common with you and me than with Muhammad and his companions.
We're just like everybody else.
Being a Muslim in America, in my opinion, doesn't make me any different than anyone else.
110% American.
Second, Islam's biggest ally in the West is ignorance. It's a slightly more important ally than political correctness. Our ignorance of Islam allows Muslims to win converts by claiming that Islam supports women's rights and that it promotes peace and tolerance and that the Quran has been perfectly preserved and that it's scientifically accurate. When people don't know anything about Islam, Muslims are free to say whatever they want about their religion and they get away with it because listeners don't know how to refute them. I've met lots of converts to Islam over the years, but I've never met anyone who converted to Islam after doing a careful investigation of the Muslim sources. People don't convert to Islam based on accurate information. They convert to Islam based on misinformation.
Liar! Liar!
Our ignorance of Islam also allows Muslims to deceive our leaders and the media. If the facts about Muhammad's life were common knowledge, ABC and the BBC and TLC wouldn't be spouting such nonsense to their viewers. Politicians wouldn't be tickling our ears with flowery drops of drivel. They'd never get away with it because people would know better. So Western Muslims don't know what their religion teaches, and non-Muslims don't know what Islam teaches. This dual ignorance helps Muslims win converts, it keeps the media and politicians in the dark, and it gives Islam a privileged status that no other religion or ideology could ever dream of. The race of civilizations, then, comes down to a race of information. Can we get accurate information into people's heads as fast as Muslim leaders and the media and politicians are getting misinformation into people's heads? If we can get the facts about Muhammad and the Quran into the public arena, you're not going to see anyone converting to Islam, and many of the superficial, westernized Muslims who only believe in Muhammad because they don't know much about him will leave Islam faster than a care leader can cry Islamophobia. This brings us to the point of this video. Sam Shamoun and I have been planning to write some books since 2009. There are a lot of books out there about Islam. Some of them are good. Many of them are the opposite of good. But I'd say that the most devastating information and arguments against Islam haven't been published yet. The best books about Islam are still waiting to be written. Sam and I decided a while back to fill in some of the gaps in the literature. It's been a couple of years now, and we've put out a ton of articles and dozens of videos and lectures and debates, and we've done plenty of episodes of Jesus or Muhammad, but we've never had the time or the funding to put together some of the more thorough resources we'd like to work on. We have families and children and bills to pay, and writing entire books means we'd have to set aside other projects for a while, which in turn means that we'd starve and get kicked out of our apartments for not paying the rent. So, desperate times call for desperate measures. We've realized that we're never going to get this done on our own. That's why we're turning to you for help. We are asking our viewers and readers to chip in for a couple of months. If we can scrape together enough funds to pay the bills while we work on 2 or 3 books, Sam and I are going to sit down and focus on writing some brutal critiques of Muhammad and Islam. If you'd like to make a one-time contribution to our work, now would be the perfect time. You can visit my blog, answeringmuslims.com. There's a PayPal link there. It only takes a minute or so to make a donation, and you can use a credit card. There aren't too many causes out there that are more important than defending Western civilization from a system designed to destroy it. We're ready to do our part, but this time we can't do it without your support. Please pass this video on to anyone who might be interested, and most importantly, please, please, please pray for us.